Welcome
Woohoo.
to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on tonight? Ripple XRP. Do you know the SEC may just be targeting retail investors? And Ripple is centralized. Who knew? David Schwartz says that Ripple is centralized. XRP and XRPL. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. This statement, contrary to the SEC, which claims that Ripple has been trading an unregistered security. The 1,000-pound elephant in the room, Chip, is that we really wonder again if the SEC is actually just targeting retail investors because they want to limit wealth opportunities of individual investors. And then, did you know major financial institutions like JP Morgan, American Express, Visa, MasterCard are all vying for positions in the future of digital assets? There's a lot of stuff going on, including a new project with Ripple expanding somewhere over in the UK. So if you're ready to kick this thing off, I've got some lemons to sell.
Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Well, Jeff, as always, it's good to be back. I know you did the show solo yesterday, and you'll be doing it on Wednesday solo because I'll be
solo.
So there's, oh my gosh, there's, I put a couple tweets out today, and it just blew up my feed to the point where I couldn't even use my phone. It was like blink, 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 nonstop. Just kind of crazy town type of stuff. But how's everybody out there doing in OTC land?
Doing great, Chip. Thanks for asking.
You doing all right, Jeff?
Yeah, very, very good.
All right, very good.
But doesn't everybody just give a quick shout out where you guys are tuning in from, so we get a general idea of what part of the world we're reaching today at this point?
We'd like to see that. We definitely like to see that for sure. And what else? My goodness. All right, why don't we jump to some good news here? So we've got a bunch of news we got to trip through. And
good news.
Look at this right here. Ripple expands further to UK and Europe as Modulr Labs. Nabs a new deal. Modulr nabs, like as in obtains. And
Modulr. So Modulr nabs isn't the full name of the company.
No, they nabbed a deal.
Modulr
nabbed a deal. I thought it was Modulr Labs, so that's why I thought, was that a typo? No, it's not.
All those Modulr Labs out there, Chip.
So Cindy Young, obviously, she had tweeted this out, that Ripple Net continues to expand, and she's got the little emoji with the little hat on, blowing the little noisemaker. Fast, seamless, cost-effective payments from Brazil to UK and Europe, powered by Ripple and Modulr. Interesting. Is that Modulr? I don't know. Modulr. Brazilian fintech Remessa Online chooses Modulr to supercharge Jeff cross-border payments across the UK.
Dude, you gotta love when they supercharge stuff. Dude, we got somebody. Kenwood is here out of Boca.
Well, that's right next to me. We got
Kenwood Capital.
Kenwood Capital. Yep. And we've got in February, blockchain and crypto giant Ripple established a partnership with this British firm called Modulr to enable seamless payments. So it's so funny that if it's not Ripple, it's a Ripple partner. There's just so much stuff going on, Jeff. It seems like almost at any given day, every other day, there's something going on with these cross-border payments. Everyone's like, yeah, but look at the price of XRP. Well, yeah, that's something, but a lot of things that are going on. It's almost like we're heading into a summer in the US, but it's almost crypto winter again.
And this is all contrary to what the SEC is doing. So as the SEC keeps perpetrating its advance towards really trying to shut down retail investors' opportunities out there, Ripple is continuing to build their project, and they continue to expand in their space regardless of this pending case.
That's exactly right, Jeff. That's exactly what's going on. There's so much happening with, the funny thing about it. So something that kind of came to light over the series of I would say the last 2 days, we had the consensus going on put together by CoinDesk. And I know that, John Deaton was there, and I know Eleanor Terrett was there as well. and some other folks too, tweeting out some good stuff. And Charles Hoskinson put out some stuff too. He actually put out a really cool picture. I think we'll have to get to it, but the more and more I hear him talk and just tweet and stuff, I really love his disposition and where he's coming from. But one of the arguments it's kind of coming to light is Gary Gensler was on with doing an interview, and he was asked, well, he was asked the same question, like, well, which digital assets aren't securities, which ones are commodities? He's like, well, he's been in touch with Senator Lummis. He knows Gillibrand because I've known her for a long time, is what he gets into. Of course, he knows her for a long time. He was the bag man for a long time. He was the bag man for let's not get into that, Jeff. It's a whole different, you got to be careful what you say. But let's just say that he was very active in a campaign for somebody who was running for high office in 2016. He was the finance guy. So he knows them. He goes, and of course he said he hadn't had time to review it, Jeff. But he said that I'm not going to tell your audience what's going on or what I think, but I will get to the senators and tell them. So I saw Deaton tweeted out, oh, but why can't you be transparent about it? Why can't you tell everybody? Why are you holding back? Why is this a closed door, back room, sort of a hush hush thing where you can tell the senators who crafted this bill, but for some reason you can't let us retail investors know?
Man, it's been just like Martin is saying, shady dealings are going on. There's something shady, going on with Gary. Gary, it's all about a power trip for him. Regardless of what's good for the people. And it's really interesting because we covered it, a bunch yesterday. We kind of dug into it, and just going back and looking at some of the previous videos and interviews with him, Chip. It's very, very blatantly obvious. Plus, we threw up some of those images of that mobile billboard truck, throwing up all the all the images with the SEC, basically coming after retail investors. And so it's not something unique just within crypto, not just with Ripple, not just XRP, but we're seeing they were very outlandish against the GameStop investors, the AMC investors, and the list goes on and on and on. So hey, we got some we have a guest here, in high places right there, Seminole Casino. That's not too far from you.
Well, the Seminole Casino is about 2 miles from my house. So there you go. So we'll have to you'll have to DM us. Casino
Coconut
host.
Creek. Yeah, Coconut Creek.
Yeah, Coconut Creek's right next to.
Go check them out over there.
Yeah, right on 441 there, man. You're right around the corner from me. Right around the corner from me. So yeah, I know it pretty well.
Interesting facts. That place used to be a number of years back, all they sold were cigarettes.
Did not know that, Jeff. Glad you're letting me know all this.
Pre-casino.
Really? That was before they were the casino.
Tax-free cigarettes over there.
Huh. That's interesting, Jeff.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. So yeah, you'll have to DM us on since you're so close. We'll have to do that for a fact, man. So what else we got, Jeff? What else we have? Oh, you know what else we have?
I was going to pull this thing up with the whole pay string. Do you have that up?
Oh, why don't you pull that up, Jeff? Or maybe
pull this one up. I thought, it's interesting when we're, seeing this continuous development and things moving forward. And it's also even more interesting as, the entire market kind of slumps into red, so we see the space slumping into red, XRP slumping into red, but this whole notion of Web3 and pay strings and all of this. I know I should probably pull this up in a different browser, but anyhow, so we've got, our digital ID solutions in focus for Ripple. And that's the whole thing, Ripple and pay string. And we had Ratha Khan, a dive into Ripple's engagement with privacy, identity, and pay string. Remember that? A little weekend reading where I try to fashion a narrative without having all the facts. It may or may not be accurate, but identity privacy is a loose end in the internet of value. Without getting into, real deep details here. Here we have merging decentralization of Web3 and usability of Web2. Last but not least, Ripple's former and existing employees and their colleagues released numerous papers to cover the design of prospective payment identification solutions. And I would say, without having to dig too much more into this, having this idea of payment identification, and some of the things that we've seen, whether it's through the Zum wallet or and beyond, I think that there's something to be said, for what's being referenced here, and having some sort of an identification solution. What are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely agree with you. It seems to be a big missing, and it hasn't really been 100% nailed down yet. So this is what I like about Wrath of Khan. He's always kind of like looking down the road a little bit, sort of reading between the lines, and kind of like. So, but
Thank
I
you,
like
Sir John.
What did Sir John say? What's Sir John saying?
He said, straighten your shirt in the back.
Oh my gosh, man!
My shirt in the back.
You see how they're always looking after us, Jeff?
Man,
they're always looking out after us. They always want to make sure that everything's going fine. Everybody's doing well, and you gotta love that. I wanted to put this up here, Jeff. Let's throw this up next here. This one is. Let me add this to the stream here. So this is Senator Cynthia Lummis. She was the one with Senator Gillibrand who authored that bill that honestly I can't read, Jeff, because it's just too long. Like I start reading it, I get sleepy. I'm like, there's no pictures in there. It's just too much to read, man. Like I flip through and I look, how many pages is it? It's just
it's 70 pages. I read through it, but a lot of it's important because they cover in depth a lot of different elements. But I think there's too much packed into it.
Yeah, what I was going to say about that was, so the problem with having it too comprehensive is that when it goes, first of all, when the House, well, forget about the House, but when the Senate's looking at it, everyone's going to put their tweaks and fixes, and the other side's going to put their tweaks and fixes, and then it's going to go to the House, and they're going to, before you know it, it doesn't resemble the bill anymore. And that's the problem when you try to be too comprehensive. That's why I always sort of favor the token taxonomy, or even Emmer's bill that I thought was, you just fix some of the language and make it just so that we can slide. You can worry about some of this other stuff or propose it in new bills, but you got to just clean it up. They always go like, we're worried about the innovators leaving. We're worried. Well, great. Pass a token taxonomy. You don't need to pass a 70-page bill. And,
I think it definitely needs to be split up, Chip. I think what the Token Taxonomy Act addressed, which was, just very straightforward, which was the Securities Act of 33, the Securities Exchange Act of 34, the IRS, or the Internal Revenue, Act of 86, and there were a few other things packed into there. And it was all about just kind of amending, adjusting, and making it possible to add language for digital asset. They did try to incorporate that into this new bill. So they did bring a bunch of elements into it. But what we've seen, over time, and maybe, at the end of the day, maybe, in
maybe
both the House and the Senate, maybe what they like are super long bills that they can't read, that just have sexy names on them, just kind of like this one. And what is it? What is the name of it again? The reasonable innovation, and
I call it the Lummis
expense bill that might increase your taxes if you're not paying attention bill.
Yeah, and do a lot of other bad things in the back end type of bill. Yeah, one of those kind of bills. I know what you're talking about. I'm kind of like following your drift.
So if you pack, so maybe 70 pages isn't long enough. If they expand it out to about 1,000, then you might have a good chance. No one's going to read it, but you have a better chance of people voting on it, because you know what? It's the volume that's attractive. So
you got to pass it to know what's in it.
You got to pass it to know what's in it. See, Responsible Financial Innovation Act. So you got to be responsible with your, so they put some nice language to it. And it's supposed to be looking out for retail investors. So there were a lot of good elements of it, actually, and there was, but it left us wanting more. So I thought it was a little bit ambiguous. So it was difficult to discern. And even in the interview with the two of them, it was still difficult to understand. Does the CFTC have jurisdiction? Does the
Right.
SEC have jurisdiction? And basically they say at the end of the day, it's up to the corporation to make a determination as to what they think it is. And then they go to the right body. So
Back
if
to
you
square
think it's
one.
a security, right? If you think it's a security, you go to the SEC. If you don't, you go to the CFTC. And if they think you're wrong, then they'll send you to the other body. Now, will the SEC abide by that and do that? But regardless, it just seems to be, yeah, we haven't made too much of any progress here. But the question is it going to get any legs?
No, not at all. It's nice they're doing the little tour and everything, and I like how they didn't put cryptocurrency or digital assets in there, kind of like disguise. It's just a financial responsible, type of a bill. But why don't we look at this right here? Let's take a look at this. This is Lummis. It's a very short clip here, but let's listen in.
I do think that Bitcoin is here to stay. And I think a lot of the,
There you go.
I do think that Bitcoin is here to stay. And I think a lot of the others are not. The fact that Bitcoin is fully decentralized and that some of these others were issued by a person or an entity that kept a large block of the coin for themselves.
Again, Jeff, the problem with that has nothing to do with decentralization. And this is what happens when you're a Bitcoin max and you get sucked into this conversation. It's like they kept a large point of their, a large amount for themselves. You could say, well, Ripple, yeah, there's an escrow, but the escrow is also governed by the validators, and you need 80%.
But is she alluding to Ripple in this case, or do you think she's alluding to, some of these other assets?
Well, I'm just using Ripple as an example. It could be the Ethereum Foundation. It could be, any project that sets aside so many for the founders of the company. She's alluding to that. But then that doesn't necessarily decide whether or not it's decentralized. And she's like, well, these other projects. The other thing is too, do we actually know how much Satoshi owns? There's a wallet that's never moved. It's estimated a little over 1 million Bitcoin, but nobody knows. And then what happens is,
how did he get those million?
Well, put it aside for himself. That's how you do it, but the thing is, you don't know who it is. You can't knock on the door. So again, that must be a free pass. The other problem is what happens with these mining pools is that starts looking an awful lot like centralization, and controlling what happens as far as validating the block for the transaction. And inside of a mining pool, you can say, well, a mining pool looks like it's not decentralized and looks more like a security than anything else. And I would assert that it looks like Bitcoin is even more centralized than it ever was. But again, this is what happens when you don't understand the true nature of decentralized versus centralized.
Well, that and she's getting her talking points primarily, from some of her assistants. They're packing this all together. Between the other thing is, she has to also then appease Gillibrand's, what Gillibrand brought to the table. They had to do
nothing.
something.
I'm going to tell you right now, she brought nothing to the table, Jeff. She needed somebody on the other side of the aisle. She hopped on, rode the coat strings. She already wrote this bill. I'm telling you, it didn't have anything to do with her. And she doesn't.
Yeah, I'm sure she did. So the question is, and she's alluded to this, multiple times over, and even states that Gary Gensler himself has said that Bitcoin is not a security, that it is a commodity. Now, if you follow this tract, and this goes back to the interview that she had, and they said, she said that they want to split, and the majority of the assets should go and fall under the CFTC, and then there's some that'll be SEC. But what she said was, he had asked, well, Gary Gensler, is saying that he thinks the majority are securities, and she said, well, yeah, I agree with that, but a minute before that, she says she was making a statement that there's 15 to 19,000 digital assets. She goes, if you're focused on the sheer quantity of how many digital assets are out there, then yes, a good majority of them are probably securities. She said it kind of with, not exactly with those words, but that's what she was saying. And I don't necessarily, disagree with that either. I think we're going to find that there's a lot of, assets out there that are either scams, or they're out there strictly to do fundraise. And if it's strictly out there to do a fundraise for their project and that's it, then they're kind of stepping their toe into some murky water.
Well, that's
where potentially make it a security.
That's why Hester Pierce said you've got her Safe Harbor gave you 3 years to decentralize, because when you're first getting
Yep,
going,
great point.
you can make that argument. But let's listen to the rest of what she says here.
Yep.
And then issued others to participate means they look more like a security than a commodity.
Because if you take that argument, then she's basically making the argument that Ethereum is a security, not a commodity.
Right. Yeah. Going back to what you said in the beginning, that, for the founders that held back a decent, percentage for themselves.
Or they bought it too. You had Joe Lubin, who bought a ton of it himself. He was offered it at like 99 cents or something along those lines. So there was a preferred buy. Yeah, you bought it, but it was preferred.
Now, and is that then the only classification to say that it's a security? Because then, we have to go look at all the different prongs of the test. Because if that's the only test, element of the, then, hey, we're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's why there's 4 prongs.
Bitcoin is clearly a commodity. It is digital gold. Bitcoin is the standard.
Oh, she said it was a standard.
Wow.
Does she not know that XRP is the standard?
Clear, though, Chip?
Right.
Yeah.
Everything else has to be monitored differently because they are created differently.
Wow.
Makes 0 sense.
Chip,
that's not true.
Is Bitcoin the standard? Bitcoin has first mover advantage. Does that make it the standard though?
No.
What came out first, beta or VHS?
I don't know, but I know the beta was better. That's what I will say.
It was better, but which one won in the end?
In the end, VHS won, but that's like kind of saying, like, you look at Mac versus PC. Dude, if I ever had to work on a PC again, I might just remove my eyeballs from their sockets. The frustration level was an 11, and I was a beta guy. I was I'm all those wrapped into one. I'm just a Mac guy. I do not like PCs.
I don't think I ever saw a Betamax player.
I had one, man. It was awesome.
What my dad had back in the day was a Laserdisc player.
Laserdiscs were very good too. The big ass discs, look at like a CD.
Like record players. They were like records.
But that was just, I have to tell you, it was fantastic.
That was crazy. Oh, that was way before DVD. That was even, VHS was just kind of kicking off.
Yeah, you remember that?
So this goes to this notion. So how did she come out and she said it's obvious, and this is the confusion. Why is it?
I fixed it, Jeff.
No, thank you. That's
XRP
perfect.
is the standard. I fixed it. And then I added to that.
And the XRPL is definitely the standard.
I said, Senator Lummis doesn't fully grasp decentralization regarding Ripple, the company. Centralized, XRP, and the XRPL are decentralized. That's just one argument, but you could say that about a lot of different projects. And then I put this excellent quote up by Brad Garlinghouse. If you own a security, it gives you ownership of a company. If Ripple goes away, XRP will continue trading. You want to know why, Jeff? Because it's a commodity and not a security. You don't, and again, this is beautifully said, because you don't get any ownership in a company. And most people, when they bought XRP, didn't even know what the hell Ripple was.
That is true.
So there's a lot of truth to that. So there's a lot of people that just commented on that, which was interesting. And, so I wanted to show
this. Who else commented on that, Chip?
Who's that?
David Schwartz.
Yeah, put it on.
David Schwartz. Now this was, it's always good when we see, new current commentary. Ripple is centralized. XRP and the ledger are decentralized. So this is where this notion, it's crazy. We got to call out, Lummis. And the thing is, I don't have any issue with Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will be long, and it'll be here for a long period of time, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. And I do see, some of the issue that are inherent with it. We definitely saw it during the period of time when China was ramping up their mining. But then we also have the same issue with gold, and ownership of gold, and those who control the mining. But regardless of that, this notion though that somehow these politicians have clear understanding of the digital asset space, and you reference that, they really need to dig down a little bit deeper into an understanding. It's not just about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, yes, okay, let's say Bitcoin's decentralized, but just because Bitcoin is decentralized, And that doesn't necessarily mean that all these other assets are
Right.
not decentralized. And that's kind of the argument that they're trying to make. Now, if you have a certain way of then looking at Bitcoin, why is it that she says that all the other assets that they're different have to be looked at differently?
Because
You
she
know,
doesn't fully. Well, my
I mean,
thought is that she doesn't fully
don't
understand it.
understand
You know, Jeff, if you're trying to learn something complex, there's a time where you don't allow yourself to fully sink in with the concept. You grab what you think looks. It's like you compare it to something else, and you go, okay, I got it. Bitcoin centralized, decentralized, and everything else looks like, and you try to put the concept together, but you don't realize what makes an asset decentralized. So I think what happens is that you think you got something, especially when you're learning new stuff, and everybody can remember their first exposure to getting into cryptocurrency. There's a time you're like, yeah, I get it. And then something else came up and you're like, whoa, I don't know what the hell's going on, because you quite didn't understand it, because it's something new, it's something different. But that what makes it decentralized is the fact that nobody has control over it. That's it. Yeah, the free market is being destroyed. Yeah, Bob Moneybags, not Bob, says, my concern, the free market is being destroyed. Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
It's pretty much right there. And I would put this on. So one of the things that I wanted to follow up on. So after that, somebody said scams are bad. The scam detective came in and wrote, well, no, XRP, the asset, is not decentralized since Ripple owns the majority of it. Okay, again, that does not have anything to do with it either, whether it's centralized or decentralized, the actual asset or the XRPL. The XRPL is not decentralized either due to the way the UNLs work and the fact that the Ripple defaults their own UNL in the code, which they are the sole maintainer of. So a lot of just bad stuff here. And if you want to know who this is, supposedly it's a former XRP holder who knew the truth, right? Which you know that with the low follower account, it's neither one of those. It's just one of these Bitcoin alt accounts where they like to go in and troll people. So Jeff, I had to do something that had to be done. I had to put up the bat signal and I had to summon Matt Hamilton and put him on the case because I knew Matt would go do some battle. So I put up the bat signal for Matt Hamilton at Hammertoe and it said, you know what, Matt, we need to bring you in, buddy. We need to bring you in and put you in, coach. So he says, yeah, the person who knows they're lying but continues constantly. I'll respond for the record, but they continue to post FUD regardless. And if you look at this, there's just a whole bunch of, I don't even know if I can find all of Matt's.
That's a funny one. It's good. Go back to that image. There you go.
Infinite patience, Hammertoe. Yeah.
Look at everybody standing around watching him.
Yeah. Infinite patience. That is without a fact. And someone said, I really appreciate your, let me see if I can find, let me go to his, the problem is there's so many of them. They get all
doing
buried.
that. Old man crypto brings up a really good point. Bitcoin moves well on the XRPL. Bitcoin is a store of value and made to be digital gold and hold it. And that's exactly kind of where we're finding ourselves with Bitcoin now, in my opinion, as well. It's now become a store of value, and everybody, I think a lot of people out there recognize that. Michael Saylor has recognized it's a store of value. Countries have recognized that. I also think, how does this factor in to El Salvador? As they've identified Bitcoin as currency, how does that impact this whole conversation?
I don't know. I was trying to find anyway. So Matt went toe to toe with him. Hamilton went toe to toe with him. Just gave him everything he could. He just couldn't figure it out. It just was just couldn't figure it out.
Hey, do you have a video pending over there?
I do. I want to put that up next.
Let's throw it up.
All right. So Brad Garlinghouse was at Consensus speaking. I want to put this up first. Let me just show my screen here. So digital asset investor was there and he recorded it. But just like when he shows his videos and he shows a tweet, he doesn't know that you can actually zoom in on stuff. So it's like kind of far away, right? You don't really even see. But I was just happy that he did it because I didn't see this floating around anywhere else. But you see Garlinghouse on stage here, and this is one of the journalists over at CoinDesk. And
that's Garlinghouse?
Well, it's Garlinghouse because you hear his voice. But but anyway, he didn't zoom in on it. But the good news is he did take it and shoot it. So what I wanted to do was put up this video. Oops, sorry. Hang on a second.
Maybe as a body double up there.
This was the best thing that came out of that whole thing. You know, what about the this or that and the regulation and blah, blah, whatever that is. Forget about that 15, 20-minute interview. This was the best part because Brad really calls to attention exactly what is wrong with the crypto space. Let's put it up. If there's young kids around, you guys are going to want to be careful because there is some language here, but I wanted to let everybody know that. Here we go.
I also will say, and part of I made the point earlier on ETH, I think all boats rise. One of the most frustrating things, and the CoinDesk has certainly written about this, the tribalism in crypto is holding us all back. Like, we just gotta fucking stop it. Like, we have to, like, we're on the same team. I really believe that. Like, what's good for crypto is good for Ripple. And I try to be really careful about, like, even on stuff that I feel like I don't understand. I'm not trying to badmouth, NFTs. Like, I just don't know. But I think what's good for crypto is good for everybody in the industry. And I think the tribalism holds us back in a really big way.
He's so right about that. And we're seeing tribalism, Jeff, when it comes to, senators now. We're seeing tribalism. Like it's digital assets. It's decentralized and centralized. That's it. I mean, do you agree with what he said there, that's holding us back, this whole tribalism? Now we've got the XRP communities become so tribal, like Bitcoin sucks. I hope it's going to fail, and Ethereum. Who cares, man?
Yeah,
Let
exactly.
people choose for themselves. You don't want the SEC telling you what you can do. Don't tell other people what they can do. They want to buy Bitcoin, let them buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, what difference does it make? Here? Yeah, you're not. What difference does it make at the end of the day?
I heard somebody famous say that one time, Jeff. What difference does it make?
Difference doesn't make anyways at this point, Chip.
Right?
Oh God, that was horrible. But no, but in this situation though, yeah, I mean, it's like, come on, people love Bitcoin. Let them love Bitcoin. People love Apple. Let them love Apple. I mean, I don't want an iPhone, but some people love it with a passion. I can't detract from that. It's the same thing. It's just like, hey, Bitcoin's around today. Let people invest in it. Some people love Dogecoin. And let them invest in Doge, or they want to always get the next meme, coin. And that's what they're going to invest in. It's like the SHIB. That's kind of where I draw the line. But there's a whole bunch of assets that keep dropping on all these exchanges, and people are going to keep chasing rainbows, and hope there's a pot of gold at the end. But if that's what they want to do, then, that's their prerogative. If people love Ethereum, then let them love Ethereum and the smart contracts. Like, other entities build with Ethereum. We might think, hey, you know what? There's a better solution out there that's going to be out soon.
Yeah.
But Chip, that's just the tribalism mentality is going to cause, does cause, issue. But it's sometime though, when you have that passion, like, it becomes more like a sporting event than an actual investing event and building event.
No, I would agree with that. But I mean, like, just I think, people are getting so down on Ethereum, and it's, the gas fees. Well, so don't buy it. What do you want from me? I mean, you don't like Bitcoin. You think it's too slow and going to fail. Great. It's a store of value. You don't want to store your money value there. Don't do it. But sitting there putting down other projects. Look at this, Jeff. This is pretty exciting. Go ahead.
I was going to throw this one.
Jeff,
a dropping 10,000 on DraftKings is perfectly fine.
And the SEC is not worried about that. If you go into Vegas or DraftKings, are like, well, sorry, what are you going to do? They're not protecting you there. They don't really care, but they want to know what digital assets you're buying. But this was great. Crypto Ready put this out. That was exciting. So speaking of, Matt Hamilton executed a hook on the XRP ledger. Hooks adds smart contract functionality with custom code. And Hooks was just put in like 2 weeks ago by XRPL Labs, Wietse Win's outfit over there in the Netherlands. Code to influence the behavior and flow of transactions. These small, efficient pieces of code allow logic to be executed before and or after the transactions. But let's listen in on this. And this is one of the things that I miss when Matt was at Ripple. I used to love the streams he did because I felt like you were learning so much about all of these coders and what was going on in the ecosystem. And then he left and it went nothing. No one took the mantle. No one picked it up. And it's just like there was a big miss in there. Oh, wait a minute. Is this not going to be? Oh, here we go.
I sent 1,000. Ah, no, it's got it. It's both transactions. There it is. So he sent 1,000 to Bob, and we sent 10, which is 1% of 1,000, to Carol. It works. We did it. Fantastic. That is awesome. Just to recap, this is working on an entry for the hackathon that's currently running. If you're interested in developing something on the XRP ledger, I encourage you to go and submit an entry to the hackathon. There's 30 days until the deadline. It's quite a few people have entered. I think I saw 193 participants. So this is awesome. And probably the reason being is there's a $50,000 prize pool. I sent 1,000.
$50,000 prize pool there, Jeff. What do you think about that?
$50,000 prize pool. Hey, Jeff.
50,000 big ones.
So Kenwood is saying, can you see Bitcoin running on the XRPL as do other currencies and possibly making it a world reserve asset? What do you think, Chip? I'll let you answer that one.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to pull something up. It's going to be a part of my answer there. Here it is right here. Let me share my screen. And this is how people shouldn't be using the Lightning Network to move Bitcoin, but they should be using Spend the Bits. I remember when Spend the Bits first came out, we had the CEO on here. And basically, it's a great way to move Bitcoin really, really fast and really inexpensively. But as far as where do we see the XRPL and other currencies making it a world reserve asset, you know, I don't think that's Bitcoin's best use case. I don't even think you could assign that type of a use case to it. Could it run on the XRPL? Yeah, I think most things will, especially CBDCs and the interoperability that the XRPL gives you, and using an app like Spend the Bits, which leverages the XRPL. Yes, that could certainly give it some use, but I don't know. 21 million, 4 or 5 million already lost. I mean, you're talking about we're going to get down to sats, and I don't know. It seems way too complicated for me. And I don't think that the whole idea of Bitcoin being your world reserve asset, I don't see it happening just because central banks won't allow it to happen. They are all about control. That's why they're central. They're centralized. And they're not going to, no one's going to vote in a decentralized asset. But what they might do is they'll take their centralized, their CBDC, and as a CBDC, yeah, okay, that's the government. They have sovereign power of it. They have absolute control over it. And that would run on the XRPL. But I just don't see central banks going like, oh yeah, we have to make Bitcoin the reserve currency. No. They'll fight tooth and nail to make their CBDC or something else that's centralized. They don't want decentralization. You can see that everywhere. Your thoughts?
Yeah,
Jeff?
I agree. Yeah, no, I think, as far as a reserve currency, as far as a currency, a trade currency, I don't see that ever being Bitcoin. However, again, this goes back to this notion of a store of value. If countries are worried about storing value, they're worried about accumulation of physical gold. I do see the possibility that we're going to see a company or countries start acquiring digital assets and having a sizable holding of digital asset. And Bitcoin will probably be one of the most favored digital assets for countries to hold and store value. And so that does then, really start to, get your, the wheel is churning in terms of what then can the valuation of this entire market be. And we are going to start seeing a rapid move in the direction of these CBDCs. And now Jamaica has recently added a CBDC as legal tender. And so, it's an official currency in Jamaica now. And so we're going to slowly see this trend moving. And there's over 100 countries that are currently testing CBDCs. Some of them are a little bit more leaning on the crypto asset side of things, and some that are more just digital, like the digital yuan, that has nothing to do with any form of decentralization or blockchain. It's just 100% controlled central.
Yeah, Tom Emmer came out, he was extremely
So-
vocal on this, on the whole idea of the CBDC for, the Federal Reserve having one. And anytime that when you have Yellen coming out, or anybody that says from the Fed saying privacy is our first privacy is the most important thing. You know that that's not the most important thing. As a matter of fact, what you know is privacy is not even going to be part of it, because they always telegraph. They always telegraph what they're going to destroy. So they're like, oh, privacy is so important. We're not going to do a CBDC without privacy. You know it's not going to have anything to do with privacy. As a matter of fact, when they want to shut you down, all they have to do is bloop, all of a sudden your wallet is useless. None of the CBDC in your wallet spends anywhere, but they told you they were under the guise of it's really important. It's never. They always telegraph everything they're going to destroy, Jeff.
Everything. So Victor's saying, so in other words, XRP is a decentralized asset for a centralized business, which makes it centralized. And
No.
in fact, no, that's not the case. So you have a centralized business that is using a decentralized asset as part of a software solution that they have developed and designed to help streamline the movement of money across border. And they utilize the XRP ledger for the technology, but most importantly to the overall solution, as you know, is their on-demand liquidity. And on-demand liquidity would then directly use this decentralized digital asset called XRP.
Yeah, and the whole idea of decentralization is it's not controlled by anybody. Ripple doesn't control it. And if you look at, they have like 7% of the validators that would have to vote. You need an 80% consensus. You know, it uses a consensus mechanism. And you know who else runs a validator? The SEC has one. So they, you know, if you put it out for a vote, you write an amendment and you put it out there. And, you know, and this is what David Schwartz, or somebody brought this up recently. Maybe I'm getting the attribution wrong, but I think it was Matt. No, I think it was Matt that was saying that. Matt Hamilton was saying that you could absolutely burn the escrow if it came up as an amendment and it got 80% consensus and you wanted to burn it. But I don't think that's a good idea. You need the liquidity. It's one of the reasons I think that, you know, the XRP, the amount is a better solution. But why would you want to do that? We saw how well that worked out for XLM, for Stellar. They burned half of their supply. They went from 100 billion to 50 billion. And guess what? The price tanked even more. So yeah, I don't think that's a good thing. But I mean, I see where you're coming from. Decentralization is that even if you're using a decentralized asset, you don't control it. And that's why central banks, that's why they're called central banks. That's why CBDC, central bank digital currency, centralized. They want to control it. And what they like about it is the programmable features, which is why the very first one to create their CBDC was China, because it's fits in perfectly with their worldview and the view from the government on how you can control the populace, right? It's like, wait a minute, there's a black market? Not with CBDCs. It's in your wallet or it's not. We know everything that's going on. We know where you spend it. We know what you spend it on. And it's like, hey, you're a little bit overweight. Forget about it. You can't buy that donut anymore. Sorry, only health food for you. It doesn't work on anything else. Everyone's like, come on, Chip, that's ridiculous. A lot of things were ridiculous until 2 years ago. Now everything is game on, pretty much. But anyway, Jeff, look at the time. Look at the time, Jeff.
Everything is game on with XRP sitting at 34 cents as we speak. And the SHIB is now gained another 0. So you've got 5 zeros on the SHIB, 858. 5 zeros.
Shiba Inu?
858. Shiba Inu. Yep.
All right. Well, there you go.
Down to 5 zeros, 858.
589, Jeff.
Man, that's right. That's very close to 589. That's great. But then you've got XRP at 34 cents. And for some reason, I can't find their Stellar, 11 cents.
Jeff, you're on fire.
Back to 2017, 2018.
You're on fire, Jeff.
Time frame. I'm on fire.
You're on fire.
Fire.
Speaking of fire, we got to get out of here. Fire. I am the god of hellfire. And I bring you fire. Remember that, Jeff? All right. Listen, we got to get out of here, guys. We'll be back on Wednesday evening. Of course, we'll release some shorts during the week. And if you guys could still here hanging around, do me a favor. Unsubscribe. That's right. Unsubscribe right now. Do it all now. Everybody do it now. Now subscribe again and click that bell notifier. Like, unlike, then like again. What does it do? Confusion, man. So go ahead and do that for you one person still watching.
Yeah. Sir John is the last The
Yeah,
last
do it,
one.
guys.
Sir John, make sure you turn the lights off when we
On
leave.
the way out,
and
yeah.
on the way out. The way out, but we appreciate everybody being here again tonight. We'll check you guys out on Wednesday with a lot of other great content. And maybe XRP will be sitting around 20 cents, and we'll have a lot
One
of
never
stuff,
knows.
a lot of things to talk about at that point. But we appreciate all you guys. Appreciate anybody that's new here, that's brand new tonight. Great to see everybody on. And we're gonna have to go over to the Boca, the casino over there, the Hard Rock, and go check out Kenwood Capital.
We'll have
So
to check it out.
maybe
down the
Kenwood
street.
will shoot us a DM on the Twitter. We'll get
Yeah.
that all figured out. So
Yeah, it's
anyhow,
only
that's
5
all.
minutes
That's all
from
I've
my
got,
house.
Chip.
That's all I got too. Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Chip and Jeff out. See you guys. Have a good one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.